Hello and welcome to another Tutorial Tuesday. I'm John. We're going through a tutorial today. We're going to be doing flying. Who doesn't love flying? Let's check out what we'll be doing here. Half size. And it's a very simple tutorial. Lots of stuff involved though, so we'll be learning lots of stuff. Here we go. And zoom. Zoom. Sounds fun, right? Let's teach you all how to fly. First thing we want to do is take our footage. Of course, I have started a new comp right here. You see, we just have me coming out. Very simple, very easy. Next thing we want to do is we want to isolate exactly where we take off at. I'd say right about there. Right there. We're going to take this layer, go up to composition, edit. And split layer. Usually we'd use Control-Shift-D, but I wanted to show you on here where to find it. And now we have it split. So we have the first layer and now the second layer. Now we're going to go to that layer, zoom in right here, right to the exact frame where we take off at, right there. We want to right click, go up to time and freeze frame. Alright, look at that. Now nothing's moving. Pretty awesome, right? Zoom and frozen. Next thing we want to do is we're going to cut ourselves out. Grab the little pen tool and just do a real rough mask. It doesn't have to be too fancy. I usually get way too fancy with these things. But we want it to be just a real rough mask. It doesn't have to be anything uber fancy. I want to make sure you are at least close to the person because we're going to be using some puppet pen tools. I'll be showing you how to use those here in a second. Get up here, right there. Yeah, get the unmentionables. Like my mask work, right? It's fancy pantsy. Alright. Make sure we get the arm. Alright. Get my big head masked out. Again, this doesn't have to be perfect, but you want to be somewhat on there, and I'll show you why in a little bit. And boom, we're cut out. As you can see, there's no background, so we literally go from motion to nothing. We want to take another copy of our footage and bring it down, drag it into the comp. Well, I guess we can't. We can duplicate it. Let's see. Go up to edit, duplicate, and drag it back out. Now for this part, we want to, let's zoom back out here. We want to scrub forward until I'm no longer in the frame. Go. There we go. In fact, we're going to bring it right before the camera pans up. So right there. Look at that. We're going to show you how to blend that in a little better too. Okay. Next thing we want to do is go over here and click the layer we did the puppet on and select the puppet pen tool. Here comes the fun part. Now we're going to put puppet pins in all our joints, including one on the top of the head, shoulder, wrist. There we go. Put one on each leg, put one in the middle, knees, and feet. There we go. Look at that. We've just mapped out a little puppet. And what this does is it allows us to manipulate our figure. So let's Control Z that. So there we go. We're completely puppeted in. Next, we want to hit P on the first layer and see position. We want to keyframe that so it knows it's right there. Next step, we're going to head out a couple frames, probably about 5 frames, and stretch it up there. Look at that. And up, and away. And I bet you're saying to yourself, well, that doesn't look that good. But when you add motion blur, over here and click motion blur right there, and enable it for the layer, blur away, and we'll probably make that a little faster in the future. Zoom. Now the reason I said puppet pin is because we want to animate through that sequence. So we're going to take our puppet pin, come up here and click move the legs together and put the arm down. So now animates me putting my, actually want to animate that right there. It animates the legs going together and zoom, zoom, zoom away. Next thing we want to do is when the camera pans up, we want to hit a keyframe on the position. So we stay right there. It doesn't move. Alright. As the camera pans up, we're going to go ahead and take this there. One more frame. Starting to pan up. Come down. There we go. Now we're going to click. I don't know what we're going to click. What are we going to click, John? We're going to hit R for rotation. Do a keyframe right at that moment. Because when we hit page down to go to the next scene, we want to rotate it. We don't want to stretch it out. We want to rotate it. Zoop. Probably move the position back a little bit. So right there. You don't see it in between there, so that way it stays off camera. And we're going to come about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 frames and drag across the screen. As you can see, now we go zoom, fly right by the camera. Of course, we're going to straighten my arm out a little bit. See, very blurred. Zoom. You don't want to see too much. Of course, you go in here and hit U. You can see our keyframe, so you can stretch out the speed, speed it up, slow it down. See, now it's a little slower, so you can see more of what's going on in the shot. I like fast though. I like going zippity zip fast. Zip. And of course we'll just do this over and over and over again. We'll come up here. Move our little guy right there. Let's scale him down some. Let's hit, scroll up here. Move the puppets. No deform. We're going to hit scale. Hit a keyframe. And then one more. And scale him down. And then we hit R. Page up. Well, we already got a keyframe, so we're going to rotate them around. Position. Keyframe. Go about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Zip them across the stage again. Zoom, zoom, zoom. That's my phone telling me I have an email. All right. So now as you can see, we have the takeoff, the pan up and flyby, and another flyby. And now we're going to do the fly away. So let's go here, keyframe position. We'll go ahead and pull up everything. Keyframe position, scale, rotation. Page down. Then we're going to adjust the rotation. And of course, it doesn't matter if you're upside down, backwards. If you're using a pretty fast motion blur, if you're using motion blur, you're going pretty fast, no one's really going to be able to tell what you're doing. So there are ways to audio orient. I can show you that. Let's see. I know the keys for it. I just don't know the button to click up here, and I don't want to mess up the camera recording software right there. So let's do this. Now everything is keyframed, scale, position, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Come in and well, let's zoom in there. Zoom, zoom, zoom. It just loves that mask, doesn't it? Zoom, 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 and you can see what the puppet pen tool has done with it. We want to scale it down to almost nothing. Right there. So you have a quick zoom, fly away. And of course you can spread that out a little bit so you can get some flying. Let's check that out. Let's have it rotate a little bit as it goes. Zoom, 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 zoom. Let's click off the layer. It's almost like we're going into warp speed. Okay, so now that we got the basic animations of flying down, let's work on that takeoff a little bit. It's very rough. We'll preview it from here so you can see our very rough takeoff. And there we have it. We have the zoom. It's very rough. But like I said, this is a very beginning tutorial, so now we're going to show you how to make it a little more smooth. First thing we want to do is we're going to close that one out, go to our middle layer. We're going to hit Control-Shift-D or Edit Split Layer. So now we have this little piece right here. We're going to go ahead and move this forward almost up. See how it kind of skips forward? And we're going to zoom into that layer. We want this action to happen in that time frame. So what we're going to do is we're going to back click, time, enable time remapping. Make a keyframe here and a keyframe here. So now we can bring this forward much faster. And of course it doesn't look much faster because I'm flying through it. Now our second test is going to be adding a little dust cloud. And of course I have this little dust effect right here. I got it from videocopilot.net from their Action Essentials pack. You can get dust particles anywhere. You can film them yourself or get them from the Action Essentials pack. I highly recommend it. And we're going to composite that onto our image. But first, we need to track it. As you can see, it's a very big motion shot. Very complicated pan up. So we want to make sure the dust stays perfectly still with the action. So we're going to come over here to Tracker, Track Motion, and find us a track point. Let's see, I found this one when doing this tutorial earlier. Seems to work pretty good. Of course, when you're using your footage, all you got to do is find a very solid track mark to. Okay, and we're going to track forward. Dun 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 dun. And my little sound effects is fun. I'm really enjoying this tutorial. Can't use any hotkeys. Got to use everything normal. It's a pretty fun experience. And of course we're going to want to fix these little rough track marks when it gets all blurry. So we'll probably do it frame by frame. And of course it's just going crazy there, isn't it? We'll extend our bounds a little bit. So no help. Well, we can do it manually. It's only a couple frames. And about right there. That should do it. Next we want to go up to Layer, add a new null object. Now this null object is going to collect the tracking data for our tracker. So we're going to go over here to Edit Target, select null 3, Layer, hit OK, and then we're going to hit Apply. We want it to X and Y, click OK. Alright, now I have this little null that follows the camera. Zoom. I don't even know if our dust will last that long. We'll make it last that long. Alright, so now we want to bring in our dust. And let's see, we'll put it on top. Let's drag it out. And find exactly where we want the poof to start. About right there. I think that's a good poofing place. Alright, next thing we want to do is we want to mask it out a little bit so it's not such a rough cut. We're going to come up here to our pen tool and mask out around, let's see, around the whole thing. We're just going to, that's a little too far down. We're just going to mask out the floor. Bam. That way we can hit F and feather. So just feather a little bit. We want more of a smooth transition. The dust. See? Now you can tell the dust is a separate layer. Zoom. Zoom. Next we are going to parent the dust to the null object. And you can see there when the camera moves, so does the dust. So when we do a zoom up, dust goes away. Of course, we're going to cut the dust right there, and you can hit Alt, left bracket, right bracket. Don't hit left bracket, right bracket. Now we got the dust to take off, but the dust doesn't look like it belongs there. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to color correct it. We're going to come up here to Effect, Color Correction, Curves. Alright. Well, let's get the dust out here. See what we're doing with it. There it is. We can adjust the color of it. Let's bring up the brightness. Add a little bit, take a little bit of the red away, and punch up a little bit of the blue. And I know you can't really tell a difference right there, but we're going to add something else. We're going to add a tint, and we're going to bring the tint down. There we go. Now the dust seems a little more like it should be there. It's very subtle, but you won't dust. Can't be Superman without dust. Zoom, zoom, zoom. And of course, I do believe that's it. I mean, this is our second tutorial. This one I'm doing live, not with, watching it afterwards. So I hope this one was a little better, maybe a little worse. Who knows? You could tell us about it. We'd love to hear your comments, requests, criticisms, angry hate mail, whatever. Just send it to us. Let us know what you want to see. And that'll be it. So, thank you.